Hello and welcome to another video with me, Rauchenwald. Now in today's video we're not going to look at some app or project that might generate you some kind of income or bring you some financial gain, but I want to cover a very important basic topic, and that is cash versus debit cards or credit cards. Which one is actually best in my opinion? Now before you run away because you think this video will not help you gain a financial benefit, I'll promise you watching this video till the end will actually teach you a few very important lessons that will make it easier for you in the long run to achieve the wealth that you want to have in the future. But before we jump into the pros and cons of cash versus credit cards or debit cards, I actually want to share some of my financial background. When I was younger, so basically around 18 to 20 years old, I got my first credit card. And somehow I didn't understand it quite well. I had a very rough time. I kind of had some financial issues. And going to the ATM and withdrawing cash with the credit card seemed like a great idea until the ATM didn't give my credit card back because obviously I overused it. And my bank figured out that I might not be able to pay off that balance. So basically, with my first credit card, I ended up ruining my credit score for quite some time. Now, maybe you are smarter than I was back then. Maybe you also had the same experience. Who knows? But the point is why I'm sharing this, because many people will use the argument, okay, if you use cards to pay for things, you lose track of your spending very, very fast. And back then I would have agreed with that argument and kind of instead of taking responsibility and admitting that I screwed up myself, not keeping track of how much money I have and what I can afford, actually blamed it on well, with the credit card, it's so easy to just spend more than you have and whatnot and so on. And I switched to paying everything with cash, which I kept doing for quite a couple of years, mostly because my credit score was ruined, and then also when I traveled to other countries and lived in Thailand and the Philippines and so on, because there it simply was more convenient to here and there withdraw a bunch of cash and then pay with that cash. Now over the years, now with 34, I actually see things quite differently, and I want to share that experience with you. In my opinion, if you have the chance to get a credit card, I mean not any credit card, but specific credit cards, you should do so because it helps you save money. There's a famous saying or proverb that goes along the lines of, it's smarter to spend 1 day per month to think about your money than working 30 days for it. In other words, it's not just about how much money you make, which is what we usually look at on this YouTube channel to show you ways how you can make a few dollars extra with little effort, but it's also about what you do with that money. And one part of that is the decision if you pay with cash or if you pay with credit or debit cards. So while back then I switched to basically paying everything with cash and figured it was the smarter thing to do, if you would nowadays get your hands on my wallet and open it, you would actually see that there are 7 credit cards and 1 debit card inside, with the crown jewel among that collection being my American Express Platinum card, which actually costs me €55 per month, so an entire €660 per year to just have that card. So in other words, using today's exchange rate, that one credit card actually costs me roughly $800 per year. And I know that many of you will now be wondering and be thinking WTF, why the hell do you spend $800 per year on a credit card? And the answer to that is simple, because actually for me it's a profitable decision to have that. One of the main aspects why I love the American Express Platinum card that we have is that it doesn't have a limit, which means that depending on how much we spend, the limit automatically scales up. I literally at any time of the day can check the American Express website and, for example, check if it's possible to pay a $10,000 transaction with that card right now, which means it gives me financial security and flexibility for emergencies. On top of that, while we spend €660 per year for that card, we also get €200 travel voucher every year that we use for example, hotel bookings or flights or similar things, which already reduces the effective costs of the card to actually €460. Besides that, the card offers a bunch of other benefits like discounts at rental cars company and similar things. And for me personally, for the 3 years that I paid and had the American Express Platinum card, I actually never spent or paid a dime for it, because with the benefits I actually turned a profit. Now you might wonder how that's possible. For example, during 2018 I was traveling a lot, so I had 50 flights or so in a year, which means I spent a lot of time at airports, and thanks to the Platinum card I also got access to airport lounges without having to pay for them, which means instead of paying $8 or $10 for Red Bull at the airport, I actually got drinks for free and food for free, which with all the flights combined saved me a couple $100 in that year alone just on expenses that I otherwise would likely have had. Now I know the Platinum card is an extreme example, but as said, it's the crown jewel in our collection here, although I don't use it very much in our day-to-day life. Now, I don't want to get hung up on that specific one card. I just wanted to share one example of a more expensive and prestigious credit card out there that many people might be wondering why it's worth paying that money for. For most people, it might not be worth paying the yearly fee or the monthly fee for that card. However, depending on what you're doing in life, how much you're traveling, and what kind of benefits a card offers, even higher expenses might actually turn a profit for you. My point being is that you have to evaluate for yourself, and you definitely should do so. If we were to take another card that I'm using, which is our Crypto.com credit card, for which I had to stake a couple thousand CRO coins, which back then cost me 1,500 euro, which still are coins that I own, and I actually even get 10% interest on those coins and so on. And at some point, if I want to, I could sell those coins. And in return for having that staked and using the card, Crypto.com, for not all but most of my purchases, actually pays me 3% cash back. Now, if we look up here, I've been using Crypto.com for around 6 months now, and as you see, that cashback sums up to around $200 something. So it means just by using that card instead of actually paying with cash, I saved $200. Now, the Crypto.com card is a debit card, so it's not with a credit limit, but you have to deposit money on top to actually use it. But you see, it's again a great example for when a credit card actually beats paying with cash. It obviously doesn't stop that there are credit cards out there for a ton of different purposes and reasons. Another one that we are personally using would be, for example, our Amazon.com credit card, which pays us 0.5% cashback in Amazon points on all purchases, and if we use it on Amazon, actually 3% cashback in Amazon points. Now, while the cashback from the Crypto.com card that we're using is paid in CRO coins that I can exchange into euro, dollar, or other cryptocurrency, the Amazon.com card only gives us cashback in Amazon points, which we can then use to pay on Amazon. So basically, for every transaction that I wouldn't get cashback from Crypto.com, which obviously would be better, receiving 3% cashback in a cryptocurrency that I can exchange into real money quite easily and then use for whatever I want, we can then use, for example, our Amazon card to at least get 0.5% cashback, which for us, for example, would be the case when we deposit money on our trading accounts like on eToro, because there most cashback cards like Crypto.com or even our miles&more frequent traveler card don't grant you any bonus, whereas the Amazon card still grants us a 0.5% benefit on that. Which means every time I decide to deposit 1,000 euro onto our eToro account, I actually receive 5 euro worth of Amazon points that I can spend on my next book purchase on Amazon, for example, in return, and again, saved money. And in our case, last but not least, as mentioned briefly, we also use our miles&more frequent traveler card. That card costs us around 60 euro per year, so it's not as bad like the American Express Platinum card, but it also serves an important purpose. It makes sure that, first of all, with all the spending that we do with that card, we also earn frequent flyer miles. And on top of that, it makes sure that our miles never expire, which means I don't have to accumulate a lot of miles in a year and then use them fast, but we can literally keep that card for as long as we want and collect points and miles as long as we want, and then use them for whatever we want to use them, like, for example, cheaper or almost free flights to certain destinations. And if you take a look here, I've been using my miles&more card for 3 years as well, and I've roughly accumulated enough miles to actually cover the costs, or most of the costs besides taxes, for an economy class flight from within Europe to somewhere in the US and back for one person. Now, I'm still collecting miles because I don't want to fly that long distance in economy, and I'm saving up so that it's eventually enough for Irina and me both to have a trip, and ideally in at least business class. But the point still being is, just by using the credit card, we get another benefit. Now, you could go to the miles&more website or any miles&more airline, like for example Lufthansa, and check how much a flight for one person from here to Miami and back would actually cost, and you would get an idea of how much actual value those miles&more frequent flyer miles have for us. And all of that are just some of the reasons why it's smarter to use credit cards nowadays for your own financial gain and benefit. The big question, however, is how do you know which card offers which bonus? And for example, if we take the Crypto.com card, how do I know at which vendor I actually get my 3% cashback? And the answer to that is I don't know. However, another credit card comes into play, the so-called Curve credit card. Curve is a provider which I really started to love. It's currently available in Europe and should be launching in the US anytime now. now, and for other countries you can already join the waiting list. And what it allows you to do is you have one credit card, which is your Curve credit card, and within that you can link all your Master and Visa cards. American Express unfortunately is not supported in there right now. And whenever you make a transaction, one of the features that's available to you is called Go Back in Time. So whenever I pay something with the Curve credit card, it charges another card automatically, depending on which card I've selected within the app. But after that, I have 90 days time to move that transaction onto another card, which brings two amazing benefits. Number one, I can pay everywhere with my Crypto.com card, and then I can check in the Crypto.com app if I received the cash back or not. And if I didn't receive the cash back, I can simply move the purchase from that card onto either my miles&more card or my Amazon card, depending on if I rather want the 0.5 cashback that I could get from Amazon, or if I rather want to collect some frequent traveler miles. So it gives me the flexibility to not care what's the best offer out there. Number two, if for example next month miles&more would launch some kind of offer, like okay, for all your spendings you get an additional 10 bonus miles or something like that, I can literally go inside the app and go 3 months back and move all those transactions on that card that currently has the promotion to actually maximize the payout that I get from that promotion. Now there are a bunch of other benefits that come with the Curve card and the Curve app, and I'm probably going to make another video about that in the future specifically, but my point being is simply by using credit cards we actually save hundreds of dollars every year that we can then use to spend on other things. And on top of that, we don't have to worry about things like travel insurance or losing luggage or flight delays or other stuff like that simply because of those credit cards. So no matter which country you're living in, the question is only which credit cards are available, how much do they cost. Many of them are actually available for free, and what kind of bonuses do they offer for you, and where you can get actually the maximum benefit for yourself. It's not a question if cash or credit or debit cards are better. The clear answer is credit and debit cards are better. They give you more control. They also provide you with financial freedom in some extent, because let's say you only get your salary next week, but you would have a bigger bill to pay for some reason today. Well, if you can pay it with credit card, you don't have to borrow money from the bank or from friends, but you can just use your credit card and then pay it 30 days later. Now that brings us to the only real issue with credit cards, and that is that you should pay them back fully each month. I know many of the credit cards out there offer you to pay in installments, so every month you only pay back 5% or 10% or another percentage of whatever you owe the credit card company. But when you enable that with most credit card companies, you start to pay an insane amount of interest. For example, with my Amazon Visa card, there, if we don't pay it back every month, we actually pay around 12% per year in interest, which would mean the credit card actually would lose us money. To sum things up, I know I've said it before, but I cannot say it often enough. It's not a question of if cash or credit cards are better. The answer is simply credit cards are always better if you pay them back monthly, so you basically don't have to pay any interest on them. And which credit cards you should choose depends solely on what kind of lifestyle you have, how much you're traveling and so on, and which country you're living in. You can check the description down below to find the links to all the credit cards that I'm using and to the Curve app. I know Curve is not available in many countries worldwide right now, but you should still, in my opinion, opt in and jump on their waiting list, because if enough people of one country jump on the waiting list, Curve will actually see the demand and it will become more likely that they will be available there sooner. And with that, I actually would like to hear your opinion. What do you think? Does it make more sense to pay with cash, or do credit cards, based on all the benefits that I mentioned, actually seem like the smarter solution? Let me know in the comments down below, or as always, you can also use the link in the description down below or in the first pinned comment to jump on our Discord server and share your opinion and discuss it with me and other community members there. Thanks for watching. See you in one of my next videos. Till then, bye bye.